Movie review for you. Queen and Slim, released in 2019. It's directed by Melina Matsoukas. Screenplay by James Frey, based on a book written by Lena Waithe. The cast, the two lead roles. Daniel Kaluuya plays Slim. Jodie Turner-Smith is Queen. Supporting acts, Bochum Woodbine plays Uncle Earl, Queen's uncle. Mrs. Shepherd is played by Chloe Sevigny, and her husband, Mr. Shepherd, played by Flea Flea. This is a couple who meets Queen Slim on their road trip. Police Officer Reed is the victim, played by Sturgill Simpson, and a couple of other players. Sheriff Edgar, who picks up the couple on the roadside. Their car has run out of petrol. Is played by Benito Martinez, who was a very significant player in the excellent crime drama series The Shield, which I watched for a number of years. So that's your cast. So this particular movie is basically a crime drama, which then develops into a road movie as the offenders, Slim and Queen, flee the scene of the crime. Now, Slim and Queen aren't their real names. In fact, we never get to know their real names. They're a sort of a nickname that's been attached to them, so we know who we're talking about. They are a young couple. We first meet them in a sort of a diner, a cheap sort of roadside restaurant, and they are meeting on a date. They met each other via Tinder, the app dating software, and we see them having some food, and basically they're in the first stages of sort of chatting up. It appears quite quickly that Slim is sort of on the back foot a little bit. Queen has a tremendous amount of self-confidence. We find out that she's a lawyer. She's not exactly cross-examining Slim, but she is questioning quite a few things that he says, wanting clarification. He is a very polite young man, but he's feeling a little bit intimidated. But their initial sort of contretemps is favourable. They certainly like each other, although Queen is quick to point out that there's absolutely no chance that Slim is going to get his leg over, particularly on a first date. We then move to the car as Slim drives Queen home, and she's playing about in the car, manages to get his cell phone and start perusing it in an amusing fashion, but basically trying to track down any pictures or emails from any girlfriends or ex-girlfriends. This is all rather tongue-in-cheek, and Slim grabs the phone off her and inadvertently swerves the car, which is spotted by a cop on duty on the road, who then decides that he wants to pull them over. And he's a white police officer. Of course, they're both African American, and it becomes quickly evident that he's going to give them the third degree, asking for license and registration, and basically being rather confrontational. Unfortunately, Queen, being a lawyer, gives as good as she gets, and puts the officer in an even worse frame of mind. He may be a little racist. We're not quite clear about that initially, but he is very power hungry, and he then gets Slim out of the car and searches him, goes back to the car with his documentation. Then there's a Q&A between the police officer and the two victims, and then it's turned on its head as Slim and Queenie question why the cop wants to know this, why he's doing this, the fact that they haven't committed any offences, blah blah blah. They then are told to get out of the car, and as I say, Slim is searched. He then is subjected to further questioning by Queen, who is getting very hot on the collar about civil rights being breached in this unlawful arrest, as she sees it, and he then loses his cool, the police officer, and opens fire, and it catches Queenie on the thigh, and there's a minor flesh wound, but this provokes Slim to jump on the police officer. He manages to get the gun off him, and then there's a further bit of dialogue which then leads to Slim shooting the officer through the forehead, and that's him lying down dead. At this moment in time, they become, of course, on the run, so to speak. There's a webcam on the dashboard that's taken the video of what has happened, and so they are now in a position where they are fleeing and desperate to know what to do. They quickly dispose of their phones, the sort of ritual throwing them out of the window, and we are then witnessing a road movie as they, as a couple, try and work out what they're going to do now that they are fugitives on the run. Neither of them are really have a clear plan, but it's generally agreed that they should make their way to New Orleans, as Queen has an uncle there who might be able to help them out. Conveniently, they don't seem to have got a great deal of money, and they then have to they have a problem. They run out of gas, and this then leads to a situation where Martinez, the sheriff, picks them up, agrees to take them to a garage, and this scenario turns very dodgy, and they then steal his car, and it then becomes evident that their troubles are increasing, and we then follow the movie as a road movie with them technically on the run. It reminded me a little bit of Thunderbolt and Whitefoot. Some people have reflected that it was more Bonnie and Clyde, but I didn't see that at all, because these two people were basically quite innocent sort of folk, haven't done anything bad in their lives, and just caught up in a circumstantial event which has become deadly serious. And so the movie then, we get to know the two of them. Their relationship changes and becomes more and more friendly, and the movie takes us through America, going down south. They go to New Orleans first. They meet Uncle Earl. He's living in a house with his two lovebirds, which is all very sort of hippie-ish, lots of dope being smoked, but eventually the police track them down there. They manage to escape in Earl's car, and then they arrange to meet somebody in Miami, and the plan is to escape to Cuba. The film follows a predictable pattern at this stage, although there are a number of sort of instances that are worth noting. There is a level of politicizing within the movie. They become sort of very much viewed as vigilante heroes by the black African American community, and of course the opposite for the white community, as they have been, the video has been made viral, and of course the law enforcement agencies are trying to catch them. It also brings to notice the notion of how the US, being very much a gun culture type society, and how guns are used and displayed freely. There's a hilarious scene where Slim goes into a store to get some provisions, and he has a debate with the young boy working there, and the boy ends up having the gun that Slim had confiscated from the police officer, and it all gets a bit crazy, but it indicates how guns are very much seen as toys, deadly toys, of course. We also witness how the couple, because they've given up really everything that was of value in their lives before this incident, they become much more tuned in to scenarios that reflect a sort of freeness. There's one particularly poignant scene where Queen stops the car after she spots some horses running in a field, and we end up with Slim getting on the back of one of these horses because he'd never been on a horse before, and it's all quite amusing but nevertheless poignant about the fact that these two are taking risks, doing things they never would have done before, and it reflects on how they view life at this point after a fairly cosy existence prior to the incident of the shooting. So I basically enjoyed the movie. It was fairly light. The two lead performances are excellent. Of course, Daniel Kaluuya was excellent in a movie a year or so back called Get Out. So he's developing a good reputation. And Queen, played by Turner Smith, was certainly a character which you believed in. The vulnerability of both of them was quite evident, and they were very believable. So there we have it. The conclusion is fairly inevitable, so I won't go into that. You'll have to watch the movie. The movie's called Queen and Slim. It's released in 2019. Go and see it.